now. And we're live. It's paraglidingtalk.com. I'm your host. Tonight we have a special episode. We have Jessica Frump. We're stoked tonight. This is going to be a great show. Some of the guys are logging in a little bit late. We'll have some more people online here shortly. We've got some great questions lined up. Jessica is a paraglider instructor, speed flying instructor. Is that right?
No,
Both
not
of
a
them?
speed flying instructor yet.
Okay.
But
So paraglider instructor.
yep.
She speed flies. She
Yep.
also skydives and has many jumps. We'll talk a little bit about that. We also are going to be talking about some flying theory stuff. And she's on a new adventure with all things flying. We got to meet last, what was it, a couple weeks ago. We both
Yep.
got to do some pretty cool tandem stuff, which we will not mention. And it was amazing. I think everybody watching the show saw it.
Yeah.
Maybe saw more than they wanted to if they watched my video.
Yeah.
And so Jessica, she lives at Soboba now. Well, might as well just segue straight in. You recently quit your job, bought an RV,
Yeah.
and you moved to the coolest flight park in Southern California and potentially in the United States.
In my opinion, especially when it comes to speed flying, it's a really tall, steep mountain, and we have a Kubota that takes you up, and you can do laps all day, especially in the fall and in the spring. It's really nice. Summertime, our hours are limited for speed flying in the morning when it's really calm, and you don't really want to bring your glider out anyway. You're big size, so you bring out the small wing and do 3-4 laps before lunch before it gets.
And they have a pool now.
Yeah, and we have a pool now.
Yep.
10 years, but the flight park's coming together. We got it now.
And no ideas. They put a cover over it so you can't try to land in it.
Yeah, no swoop in the pool, unfortunately.
Yeah, no foot dragging the pool.
Yep.
I am shocked actually that they tucked it underneath that awning, because you would think that would be they'd be trying to swoop that thing for sure.
Oh, if it was out, yeah, someone would for sure.
Yeah. David would.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, so just like every show, I do want to just give a quick shout out. The show, the future of the show, and things that are happening. Go check out paraglidingtalk.com for that information. And I'm trying to get motivated to make it more user-friendly and fun. And then if you want to get a hold of Jessica, you can get a hold of her at her Facebook, which I put a link in the description. So do that if you're interested in getting some training. She is a certified instructor under USHPA, and she has the talent. She's passed all the tests, and so help her adventure out by going to Soboba Flight Park and getting some training. Also, what else is there? Oh, support the show on Patreon if you're interested in learning more and being more involved. As the show progresses and grows bigger, looking to potentially make some more intimate learning experiences with the after show, and Patreon supporters are going to be the ones that are going to be obviously the first ones to be involved in some of that. So that's the future of the show. Without further delay, let's talk to Jessica Frump. So how did you get into the sport of paragliding?
Well, I started out with skydiving, and I got into it pretty quick and aggressive. I wanted to just jump every weekend as much as possible, and pretty much all of my income that wasn't going toward rent was going towards skydiving. And then a good climbing buddy of mine, Mikey Brown, told me about Soboba and was like, hey, there's a pretty awesome way to fly pretty low to the ground, and it's all canopy, no free fall. And at first I was kind of like, well, the canopy was just the means to an end. That was the end of the skydive. That's how you land, and then you pack it up and get back in. And the free fall was, to me, like the big thing. And my end goal was to proximity fly wingsuits. And then I found out about speed flying through this climbing buddy, and I was like, oh wow. And at the time it wasn't really pushed to learn paragliding, but when it came about a year later, I was at a site in Colorado called Lookout in Golden, Colorado, and I needed a rating, and I didn't have one at the time. I was just flying my Speedwing everywhere, and I wanted to go to flight parks and couldn't. And then so a buddy out there named Jason took me on a PG flight on a tandem, and it was fun. It was way different than I'd expected. It wasn't quite as much fun as the flight with Max the other day, but it was really good. Comparable.
That was so rad.
Yeah, and then
We
I got into paragliding and fell in love with it.
I am going to talk about why we had to take that down a little bit. I know John mentioned in the chat that he wanted to know why it got taken down. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. So you go to the site, you can't fly because you don't have a rating, and you were defeated. So you're like, forget this. I will prevail.
I'm gonna fly here.
and you lived there at that time.
I got into it. I still am a little bit weary about cross country. It just doesn't. It's not something I like want really right now. It just seems too committing for way too long. But I like the idea of acro, and that's kind of the direction I'd like to go. But the accessibility out here is pretty hard. So
wait, did you say you're going to segue into acro?
I'd love to, yeah. Especially now that I teach paragliding, I have such a huge respect for it, and I've fallen more in love with it. So, yep.
I mean, after that flight,
yeah.
I know. Like, I'll just say this: right afterwards, when I was still dizzy, like I was still green in the face. And when I was coming down, I'm like, you know what? I got to get down fast. And I probably did the biggest wing overs that I've ever done, and like a nice gnarly spiral to get down. What's that?
I almost forgot that you flew after.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah, you were probably pretty sick by that point. Yeah.
Yeah. I was super sick. That was horrible. Yeah. I blame Max. He's a rough pilot. You know what I mean? That was my first tandem. I had no idea what it was going to be like.
They're not usually like that.
Yeah. So you get into the sport, you get signed up, and everything is looking like, okay, you're gonna get your rating. All of a sudden now you're at the hours where you're going to be a P3, and then P4 comes. Maybe talk a little bit about how you segued from that to being an instructor.
Okay, well, yeah, I mean, for a long time still, my passion has been primarily speed flying. And then in order to be a mini wing instructor, you need to start with basic paragliding instructor, which makes sense, you know, just that's the good thing in my opinion. And so I've been doing that, but the progression to changing from P3, P4 to deciding, okay, I want to go to be full-time instructor, I just was really not committing my energy to the job that I was at. I had a desk job and was working 9 to 5, and I just was so bored and not paying attention in meetings, frankly. And every chance I got, I'd work remote, and I'd bring my laptop to Soboba, and I'd set it up down low and run up for a speed flight, come back down, move my mouse, send an email or two, go back up. And I was like, you know what, why don't I just do this?
Wow. So wait, so you were able to work from?
Oh yeah. I was
Soboba for a while,
remote, and I still was like, I was able to be in conference calls while I was in Chamonix, like in Italy and France, wherever I was vacationing. My boss was pretty cool, and I was working remote. And shout out to you, Jennifer, because you're an awesome boss. But yeah, it was awesome, but it still wasn't really where I wanted to put my time and energy. So I stopped. And now I do this, and it's great.
Full time. That is so rad. Yeah. That's like the adventure. Mm-hmm. So many people are doing that right now too. They're getting like the itch to just go on like full on adventure mode.
Yeah.
And then setting up vans, and yeah, I love it.
Yeah, it's great.
So literally, like, if you guys are watching, if you're just chiming in right now, it's like 100 degrees out there, by the way, and I'm pretty sure it's at least 90 inside of that RV. Yep. And she's got, if she walks outside, she's in the landing zone of Soboba. So just to give you an idea of where she's at right now.
I
And
can see
she was
launch
like,
from bed.
you can see the launch from the bed. Are you serious?
Yeah, so I can see
So
if it's worth getting up or not.
you might just stay in bed all day. Like,
Yeah, if it's not flyable.
it's blown out. I'm not even getting up today. Okay, let me ask this question. What do you think is the most important thing you do before your feet leave the ground?
Check your attitude, because you should have the same pre-flight every time, and that should just be your automatic thing that you do. Just, always the same order with your gear check. And then right before you go, triple check your attitude, because you could have gotten more anxious in the time that you were there. Maybe there was a couple gusts of winds that, made you a little anxious, or maybe you're too excited or whatever. But check yourself and make sure you're in a calm, happy place before you take off.
Great information. How much ground handling should someone do before they can be called proficient?
A lot. We say around here about minimum 40 hours to maybe be proficient. And that's a lot.
That is a lot. I shouldn't say we talk about ground handling quite a bit, and I would say that it is the most important part of flying. When you understand ground handling, you understand your wing.
Yeah.
If you understand your wing, then you can understand how to fly. I recommend that you put all of your ground handling, even if you've never flown yet, put it in a logbook. I got this little logbook back in, it was about a year and a half ago, and I started just logging all my ground handling, and then I would put like how many hours of actual ground handling, and then where I was at, what the wind speed was at, and just learning and plugging that in. I think that's a great idea. My other question to you is, how much ground handling do you do?
Quite a bit now that I'm teaching. It's awesome. Now I have all the time in the world to kite. But it's really important, and I try to stress it to students that even though it's not a flyable day, we can still be productive. And because they look at the forecast and get a little concerned, and it's like, no, we're going to use that time. Even though it's a crosswind, we're going to be on the ground. I have tons of drills that I like to use. And there's actually an app that's really great called Ground Handling Challenge. And I think it came out last year. But I tell all my students about it, because I think it's awesome that you can just, when you're bored, just find a new drill to work on,
Yeah. If you don't know about Ground Handling Challenge, that was made by Andre Bandera. And you can go to groundhandlingchallenge.com to find that. And that is an awesome website. And you can add your videos of you ground handling and doing some of the tricks, and you progressively move up in that. We actually had him on the show.
Awesome.
He stayed up all night one night to be on, because he's in England. I think it was like 4 a.m. for him. Yeah. So that we're moving right through these questions. Is there anything that you have that's not a part of your actual flying gear that is a must-have? And it doesn't have to be anything great. I think I said sunscreen because I'm so pasty.
I think the biggest thing, the most important, especially when it comes to speed flying, is good spine protection. Because, like, especially these lightweight harnesses that don't have an airbag, and even the ones that do, I've seen it not save, a spine, and you want to have something there. You want to, if you don't have an airbag on your harness, get a really long spine protector used for snowboarding or I think street bikes and things like that. They make them for. But you want a long one that covers your tailbone, because a lot of the breaks are compression fractures. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I think I saw you wearing that.
Yeah, it's, not a big deal. You just put it on. Just like my harness doesn't have shoulder straps, so my spine protector is the only shoulder straps I'm wearing.
That is, and it looks cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. I have that crap that I had to take that video down. Your launch was in the video, but might as well explain what happened with that. Hey, there's Neil. What's up, Neil?
Guys? How you guys doing?
Fantastic. Living the dream. Neil, this is Jessica. Jessica, Neil.
How you doing, Jessica?
Good.
All right. So let me just give you a little background on what happened. We had to take the video down because there's some controversy about whether or not that you're allowed to do tandem acro. And I'm not going to go into details. I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but there's a chance that it's not acceptable based on the wording. And I am a P3 crossing now into the hours where I can be a P4 very soon. And the rule says that your passenger has to be, I think, a P2. It has to be a pilot anyways, to do acro in a tandem, but it was questionable. So we didn't want to chance, Max makes a living off of flying. So we don't want to play games with that. And it's not, and everybody here saw it probably. So you got it in your memory. It's in there.
Did you have it on Steam it?
I can't disclose any of that information. Yeah.
Gotcha. Picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. It's disclosed.
That's kind of a bummer.
The taco video. These people are trolling me in the comments. Both. So I threw up. Okay. Jeez. You're like, Jessica didn't throw up. Just shut up. Shut it. Okay, so this is a good way to. Let's talk about safety a little bit. What are you giving to your students that you would say makes the difference when it comes to safety? Hey, there's Woody.
Hey.
Woody, what are you doing?
I just joined the show. What do you mean, what am I doing? I'm talking to you, baby.
You're supposed to be doing your own show.
Oh, we had our guest asked if we could do it the night before, and if the guest is interesting enough, we make accommodations like that. It's Harley from Epic Mealtime, if you ever heard of him. And he's got cool stuff going on. He's got like a nationwide deal for products in Walmart. And I was like, yeah, let's talk to him about it. See how rich he is.
What mic are you using?
Hopefully. No? Let me see.
I just don't want you to have that like $3,000 golden microphone and you can't use it. Jessica, by the way, this is Matt. He's also known as Woody.
Am I on the right mic?
Now you are.
All right. Hey,
that sounds better.
Now we're cooking with Crisco.
My bad. My bad.
No, you're good, man. I already warned her that you may come on. Okay. I had a feeling. You didn't tell anyone though, did you?
I didn't know.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I don't know how you did.
If you don't know Woody has 1.1 million subscribers, and then he made an announcement when we had him on the show, and it went total chaos.
Oh yeah, I was.
And then
announcement.
The show went for 4 hours.
There was one time where I was actually the guest, and yeah, we went for 4 hours, and all my horrible and evil fans joined, and it was kind of funny. They're bad people.
They're not bad people. They're great.
They are. No, trust me. They're all bad.
So anyways, sorry to deviate from the show. Jessica. Jessica is I'm super jealous. She speed flies, skydives, and free flight. And now she's just told everyone that she's going to segue into acro. So that is pretty rad. Yeah, what about
that's the goal?
Might as well throw.
Speed flying guys do acro. Whenever I see speed flying on YouTube, those guys are going insane doing barrel rolls in proximity and such. Is that what you do?
I proximity fly. I've done barrel rolls, but I like flying low, so it's kind of hard to throw rolls into that low.
Okay.
I can hear it. Is that somebody's got some background noise? I hope it's not me. Hold on. Okay, it's gone now. Excellent. Okay, so we were gonna just segue into safety. What is it that you're giving for your students that you would say safety wise?
Well, I mean, I think weather's a big deal. And so it's important when I'm instructing, at least, I think it's important that a student has not necessarily just 7 days, but they have a variety of conditions and a variety of launches and things like that. And that like we provide here, and that's why I really like teaching here as well. You know, steep launches, shallow launches, a decent headwind to kite or forwards. And I think a lot of people also, once they have their P2, they start to neglect forward launches. And then when they need it, it makes them nervous. So I try to, I mean, of course, you know, protective gear and all that is important, but I also just try to make each person well-rounded, because they're going to be off in the wild and I'm not always going to be there to hold their hand, and they're going to have to be kicked out of the nest. So I try to give them a good variety of conditions and things when I'm training with them.
What can somebody expect 3, 4, 5 days before they can get a P2 with you?
It's actually minimum 7 now.
Oh, 7 days.
Yeah, you could do all 7 days, early morning, butter smooth flights, but are you really going to get anything out of that? Like, probably not. But that's what we start with. You know, we start on the ground and then we progress up to taller launches, and we start with those early morning butter smooth flights, and then the afternoon flights come as you start to progress and can kite well and things like that.
Very good. Let's talk a little bit about your transition from skydiving into speed flying.
Okay. Yeah. I wanted, when I got into skydiving, I wanted to wingsuit proximity fly in the Alps in Europe. And then I found that an alternative that was less committing time-wise and financially as wingsuiting was. So I got into speed flying, and now I'm still flying all, you know, similar lines even, but out in the Alps, all the dream spots. So it's great.
So you've flown, and I saw a couple pictures on your Facebook. You're flying. You flew the Alps a couple times, huh?
Yeah, I've been to Europe 5 or 6. I'm not actually sure, but I go in the winter and the summer. So speed riding in the winter and foot launching, you know, small wings, speed wings, and the PGs in the summertime.
Here's a question everybody's going to want to know. Have you ever flown a paramotor?
I have, yeah. I've got a handful of paramotoring flights, and I absolutely love it. I grew up dirt biking, actually, in a desert town in northern Los Angeles, Antelope Valley, if anyone knows where that is. But so I would dirt bike to my friend's house and things like that, dirt bike to the mailbox. And so it's kind of like a dirt bike in the sky. It's awesome.
I'm seriously considering getting one. Max actually told me that he has one for me.
But it might be a Blackhawk, right?
No.
He wouldn't deny that it was a Blackhawk. That's what I heard in the last show. I have a question for Jessica. Can I just jump in?
Yeah. That's why you're here.
You were talking about doing acro, right? And this is relevant for me too. Have you figured out the acro progression? Like, obviously you're your instructor stuff, so you're doing your wing overs and barrel rolls and such already. What order do you learn stuff after you just do what is essentially a bunch of turns?
SIV. You want to do it under supervision and over water to begin.
Yeah. I've done several SIVs. On your own, what do you do next?
And then any opportunity that you get, fly on the coast in that laminar air for hours and hours and hours. Pacifica, Muscle Rock, or
Torrey Pines.
City, Torrey Pines. Yeah, there's so many excellent coastal sites that you can just get so much time under your belt, and I think that's important. There's no rush.
You were dodging the question, baby. Which moves in which order?
Oh, which moves in which order? Okay, well, let's see. Probably start with wing overs. Even I know that sounds aggressive, but coming from speed flying, that was the progression that I made. Mm-hmm. In speed flying, we are getting over our wing, so we have to manage the energy. And you know, I was flying even a 17-meter Zion, a mini wing, much more than I was flying my full-size PG and doing wing overs on that. And I know that's not a proper progression, but I do think that if you're starting with small ones and getting larger and managing it confidently and comfortably, then that's a good place to start. A lot of people would disagree, I think.
Yeah. So in my world, like, everyone does wing overs, everyone does barrel rolls, a bunch of guys do sats. That's what they call loops in the paramotor world. And then it kind of stops there. There aren't too many guys who get into the stall stuff. There aren't too many guys who get into the rhythmic sats. And I'm like, so once you're doing all the basics, what's next? That's where I was. So sort of what I've been
guess
struggling with
depends
lately.
on whether or not they want to do full stalls and things like that. But I was doing full stalls on my skydiving canopy as a canopy course in the very beginning. So the idea of that, it didn't bother me. I understand that it could reinflate, but with a paraglider, it could reinflate a lot differently than you're anticipating. Whereas with a parachute, it's pretty predictable, unless you're on a higher performance parachute, of course. But I think it's important that you can control a full stall or something like that and learn at an SIV course. Don't be afraid of it. Go take the class.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
In other words, come to Southern California.
I've been there. I took the class. I was under Gabe. You know Gabe.
They're out there right now, as a matter of fact, as we speak.
Yeah, a friend of mine, Andrew Fuller, is out there teaching. He said the weather is going to be, I think, good today and bad the next 2 days. So he's just crossing his fingers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they took off on Tuesday night.
I'm not sure.
So.
Yeah, he just reached out to me. He's like, "Hey, what can I expect?" I told him, all about it.
Oh, first SIV. His first.
It's his first with Gabe. He's a pretty good pilot. He's done, I don't know, 7,000 dynamic stalls on his paramotor. He's the best I know at it. He's pretty good.
Nice.
And still learning. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Flies a flat top and a Dominator. Oh no, and a U-turn Emotion 3, I think, actually. But flat top.
Max Martini had a lot in the chat in answer to your question, Woody. But what I would say is you get one of those tornadoes, and then you just start doing full throttle infinity tumbles.
There you go. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen it, Max Martini has a video on the stall progression, which is the best one out there that I've seen. Like I really like the way he does it. He kind of drills in this get this and then do at least 100, maybe 200 of them, and then start doing. I think he calls them pitch stalls. That's where I am now. I'm working up to like my 100 or so pitch stalls, and
what? Are you serious?
Yeah,
you haven't filmed any of them?
I did one. I think I made one video. It's not that exciting. It doesn't lend it to the kind of video that I like to watch. Like, hey, here, watch me drill this same thing 100 times in a row. So I just go out and do it.
Oh crap! That was my last video.
Was it?
Spot landing. Took me 7 tries. Tried to land on the box.
Took you 7 tries to hit the box?
Yeah, it was super windy. It was so fun. I was doing levitation.
Mm-hmm.
Not going forward, not going back, not going up or down. Just
we were doing that in Oklahoma. This isn't my show. I'm sorry to take it over, but yeah, we went out to Oklahoma and did a bunch of free flight training under Britton Shaw, and one of the days was just blown out. So we went to a training hill and just did, like you said, levitating. I broke my leg last year and doing a high wind inflation on Slide Mountain. I wasn't good enough. So it was one of my objectives, like to really drill that and get good at high wind inflations. And we were just doing that all day until I wore out, needed water. But
nice.
Good stuff.
That's rad though. That I really believe that if you can get in, like Jessica was saying, in that laminar air on, especially at Torrey, and be able to kite there, gosh, it's 15-mile-an-hour winds. When you can feel the how precise, you move your line a half an inch up or down, and it makes a world of difference. And so that's that's what you're doing in the air. You're flying a half inch can be life and death sometimes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It's critical, I think, and especially like with what happened with you, Woody. You're on launch. You get plucked, spin around. Your leg was, the first thing to land all the weight of your gear and broken, and you're out.
That was a bad day.
Had you had more high wind ground handling, might have been a different story.
Yeah, and another thing I've discovered is that ground handling on a mountain is a little different than ground handling on the flats.
Exactly.
Your wing definitely has a temptation, like if you're reverse, to get behind you and try to, overrun you and surge and frontal and stuff. But it doesn't have that same temptation if you're just doing it in my front yard. And so ideally practice on a hill if you can.
So, Jessica, back to your speed flying in the Alps. Did you do any regular paragliding in the Alps?
Oh yeah, I've flown Chamonix, and one of my favorite places I've ever paraglided is in the Dolomites.
Oh,
Yeah, Col Rodella was amazing.
I want to go there bad.
You should.
I'm going to. I will go there.
Yeah.
That is, gosh, man. And just so is it, I mean, you obviously are going to pick your days when you go, but it seems like they're doing forwards because there's not enough wind to reverse launch. And then
I had plenty of wind to reverse that day.
Oh, yeah.
You're
Okay.
the Dolomites?
Yeah. When I see the videos like in the Alps, I'm shocked. I would think that it would just be, super strong all the time.
There actually, but I mean, I've flown my paraglider at a few different places. Another one that I really enjoyed was the Kupai Care Festival, when I got to fly around hot air balloons and stuff like that early in the morning. That was amazing.
Was that with a motor or no motor?
No motor, but
What?
yeah, still cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is rad. You don't have a YouTube channel?
I don't really take much video. And the
All right.
video I take, I do nothing with it. It sits in a Dropbox account.
Dang it. You have some pretty good adventures, and
Yeah.
that's rad. So you go into speed flying. Let's talk about that little progression. At what point did you start speed flying first or regular paragliding first?
I started, went from skydiving. I had 75 jumps, and then I started speed flying. And I started on a 16-meter Firefly, and then I bought a 14-meter phaser, and I flew that for hundreds of flights, and then stuck with the phaser, flew the 10-meter, and then I had an 8-meter phaser that I was skiing with and some foot launching, and then I upsized to a 9.5 Mirage, and I've had that since. But I mean, hundreds of flights on each wing. I see it all too often that people fly, 20, 50 flights on a wing and they think they know it, and you don't. You need a lot of time on it.
Do you know who Max Martini is?
Yeah.
He's in the comments right now. I try to get him. He just has to turn his computer on, but he's just staying in the chat, trying to stay low profile. But he said that we need to sign a petition so that Jessica opens a YouTube account. They're trying to force you back in front of the computer, I think.
Yeah. I gave up my computer with my desk job. I had to borrow an iPad.
I literally asked her, I was like, do you have a computer? And she was like, no. I'm like, dang it. How am I going to have you on the show? Max Martini, you need to come on here. I don't know what you're doing over there. Hey, there's Tony too. What's up, Tony? So yeah, that is fantastic. I already burned up all my questions. Maybe we'll open up to the chat.
Hey, there's oh, sorry, buddy. There was a question in here from Nelson's Wings. Let me see if I can pull it up here real quick. It's a California related question.
Yes, Steve.
He's asking about the PASA/USPA situation at Soboba. Is there no PASA there, and is instructing going on with no coverage? That makes sense.
We're working on it. We've been sending drafts back and forth, and I think a lot of schools are going through this right now. We're just trying to iron out the kinks, and we've had issues. Things like our quad transportation up the mountain was an issue, and so now we have a Kubota that's a lot safer, and there's a place for the gear up top and things. So we're trying, but I think a lot of places are in a similar situation.
Don't need it. Soboba Flight Park just commented, we don't need PASA. Nice. Soboba Flight Park, represent. I got to fly there the first time. I'm so excited. I love it. That is such a cool site. And the guys that took care of us were so incredibly cool. You guys need to go check it out. Yeah, Jessica, I want to say, is it Larry?
Gosh, Daryl.
Daryl, that's right. Daryl he is such a trip.
Yep.
I felt like I was family before I left there. It was so cool. We only spent one day, not even a full day. It was awesome. Yeah, I don't know who manages the Soboba Flight Park account, but you got a cool spot over there, Soboba. What else was I going to ask? I know I feel like I burn up the show. I'm so excited. So you transition from skydiving, which, I mean, I get it. You're swooping. So when you come in hot, you're used to that. That was very natural to you.
So in skydiving, I was flying a pretty dumb canopy for a long time, and I still do. I fly crew canopies primarily now, where it's basically a reserve, and we stack and build formations. So they're not like the hot, sporty canopies you think of, but
Okay. What
like big
now
marshmallows.
right? What was the transition like from speed flying to then paragliding? And it was in that order, right?
Yeah. It was smooth, honestly, and kiting on a smaller wing is just easier, and so that transition was smoother. Initially, when I learned how to kite, I'll be honest, I wasn't the best, and it took me a while, but I think learning on a smaller wing helped, and then transitioning to paragliding was pretty easy. Honestly, I had a lot of good mentors and instructors that helped along the way too. So
Excellent. One of my questions was, who inspires you now?
Max Martini for one.
Along with a bunch of us.
Yeah, totally. And then Valentin Deluc, he's another one. He's awesome. I don't know that I'll ever fly or that I want to fly at that level for speed flying. It's amazing to watch, but yeah, pretty cool.
Max
Mary. Oh, sorry. And one of the questions, one of the popular questions in the chat too, was what is the reserve that you would prefer?
Well, an Angel Square is what I prefer under the seat, but then a Beamer 3 Light is a backup on my lap.
Oh, so you fly with two on your speed wing?
Oh, I don't fly with a reserve on my speed wing.
Okay.
If I'm talking like paragliding, if I needed two reserves, yeah, that's what I would go with. But speed flying, there's no reason to have a reserve. You're too low. Unless you're flying a big mountain and it's getting toward midday, then yeah, maybe bring one. But
I didn't even think about that. You're not gonna have a reserve for a speed wing. Do they do that? Nobody does that, right?
Yeah, people fly with them. It just depends. Like if you have a big tree line to clear or something like that, and it's getting thermic, yeah, you might want to have one. But
when you're flying that 8 meter, you might use it just to, when you land, throw it out like one of those drag cars to stop the drag car.
It's primarily for wing loading, but
that one day I'll have to edit that video up. David's landing where he swooped the grass and like he's going like 100 miles an hour. It was so rad. That was my first experience actually seeing people speed flying like right in front of me. So I went for a full ride on that day. That was
first tandem, first speed flight, that's a lot in one.
Max, that was Max's first speed flight. I thought he was just being facetious, but that was actually his first time flying a speed wing.
Yeah, he did really, really well. And normally we wouldn't really put someone on a speed wing without a true progression on the ground and working your way up, but it's Max Marion, so we made an exception. He did really, really well.
Some of his wings are small enough, I think, that they could be classified as speed wing size. So I think and he was the world record holder for infinite tumble at one point anyways.
Yeah, he probably knows what he's doing.
One of the questions we're all wondering is, when you're speed flying, how do you maintain such precision being so close to the ground and swooping around the way? Like, do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, start out high and do a lot of laps. Work your way lower, just a little bit at a time. Be really careful with conditions changing, especially now when it gets hot, thin air, or anything like that, or if it's cool, cold and sinky in the morning, you want to be really careful. And just, be really, really hyper aware of the conditions that you're flying in. Watching all the flags on your way down the mountain helps. Of course, at this site we have that. Not every site you do, but yeah, you don't start kicking bushes right away. That's for sure.
So you're going to move into acro. Let's talk about that a little bit. You're where are you at as far as, have you done a SAT? Are you?
No, actually, I haven't, but I just did an SIV, and that was like kind of like the yes, I want to do it moment. But before I was sort of on the fence. But I'm definitely inspired to take a more intermediate SIV, and then another after that. I want to keep taking classes and take my time with the progression. I'm in no rush. But
who did you do the SIV with, and what'd you do in it?
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
I went with Brad Ganuscio out in Utah.
Uh-huh.
It was awesome. Yeah, shout out to him. It was really, really cool. I had an awesome time. Great hospitality too.
And what'd you do in the course?
We did full stalls. Got to drive the bus backwards. Boop, 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 turning. Yeah, it was great. And we did asymmetrical 50%, things like that in the beginning. And yeah, really excited to do more.
Did anyone in your class take a reserve ride?
No, but the week before they did, and actually that would be something I'd want to mention, because everyone wants to go lightweight and this and that, but it's not necessarily a good thing. Sort of like with ski equipment, and when you get lightweight boots, they last a year or two and then they're trashed. Well, this lightweight harness, I won't name names on brands, but the Velcro didn't open and the harness itself ripped, and then the shoulder buckles, part of them busted. And do you really want, when your reserve's coming out, your harness to be having issues? Probably not. But that was a lightweight harness, and so now I steer clear from that. Unless you're speed flying, don't have a reserve.
Yikes.
Yeah, it was gnarly to hear about that for sure.
Oh,
wow, that is wild.
That does suck. Do you know how the reserve deployment happened? Like what were they working on? What went wrong?
I think, and they weren't even over water. They were just flying the point at when it happened, but it was the week before, so that's why it got brought up. But I'm not even sure what they were doing, but it got into a stall that they weren't able to recover, I think, and it was too low that they just pitched. So, and then it shredded the harness.
What brand was it? Any idea?
It was an advanced harness.
Oh, that's what I have. Was it a Progress?
Gosh darn it.
I really didn't want to say it because I don't want to be breaking hearts here.
Which one was it? Give it up. Do you remember which harness it was specifically?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not off the top of my head.
It's just like very common brand. Oh, yeah, dear.
Yeah, that's the last thing I wanted to hear.
That was Max. Max wanted to ask. That's a good question. Brutal.
Yeah, in my SIV course, I'm not even sure how many reserve deployments there were. At least 3 that weekend.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
On purpose?
And I'm not counting the on purpose ones.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, there were some more on purpose. I did one on purpose at my last flight. But yeah, I think it was one girl who did 2. She was aggressive. Yeah, the wing was new to her. And apparently it was like her 5th or 6th SIV course, and she was killing it every time. And she went from a Mojo to a more advanced wing. There's a U-turn wing. Is it the black light? The one that's not the acro wing, and it has black in the name. Is it black light? Yeah. So she had that, and that wing was new to her. And like I said, she killed it on the Mojo all the time. And then what I'm guessing was kind of heavy-handed with her new wing, because on the Mojo you'd be rewarded for that, and on more advanced wing you wouldn't. And just a couple times, cascaded into ugliness. Big string across the middle, tacoing the wing, and reserve.
Oh my
she was good. She was good, and she was such a sport about it. And I hadn't thrown a reserve, so I was asking her about it. And I don't know how many she had deployed at this point, but a bunch, because she's aggressive in her SIV courses. And she was just telling me, like, yeah, you hit hard. You know, reserve rides are no joke. Like, if there's one thing you learn about deploying the reserve over the water, is that you probably don't want to do it over land. It sucks.
Yeah. We talked about that in I think we talked about that on your show.
Oh,
That was-
okay. I'm retelling stories.
No, that's fine. I love it. When you're talking about, like, I just watched a video today, and a guy, I think, was in Canada, and I noticed the dude hasn't posted for 2 years. He like broke his leg. He had a little handsaw in his pack because he broke his leg.
I saw this. That was amazing.
I'm like, what, dude?
He had
like
like
tape.
some medical tape, and he built himself a splint, and they got carried out of there.
Yeah, I was like, that guy was way too prepared. I'm thinking, like, I would have just died out there probably.
I'm like, is this a regular occurrence for him where he's like packing his own first aid kit and medical supplies? Yeah.
It's 2 years old. I noticed Max Martini commented on that. But I'm thinking, in my mind, I was like, that dude landed hard enough that he busted his leg on a reserve. So I'm thinking, because you can't really tell with a video.
He landed a little funny. Like, he didn't do a proper PLF.
Yep. I was going to talk about that. And if this show went south, I was going to pull out that video. And here we are talking about it.
Hear that, Jessica? Your show went south. I don't mean to throw stones.
It did not go south. You shut your mouth. This show is amazing. By the way, we probably need to reach out to that girl that did 2 sheet tosses.
Reserve
toss. I'm Facebook friends with her fiance, boyfriend, something. Like, I could probably get in touch with her indirectly.
Yeah. Make that happen. We want to talk to her.
She's awesome. If you look at the thumbnail, so at the very beginning of my video, my third SIV day, my first SIV course, third day. Anyway, someone in the comments was in the very beginning. She was helping me to put up the tow line. Like, we did it as a pair so that there'd be like kind of checking on it. And they're like, her butt should be in this thumbnail. So I was like, yeah, they're probably right. And all my SIV videos got like 10,000 views like in the first week. And then I changed the thumbnail to be her butt. And now that one has like 30,000 views and all the others stuck at 10.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah. But she was really cool. She gave me watermelon all weekend.
I made the mistake of looking at like who's actually watching my videos. And it's like 0.15 or 0.05% female.
Yeah. Yeah, I've referred to my female audience as the 1%, like an Occupy
1%.
Wall Street reference.
Yeah.
So let's ask the standard question when having a female guest.
Yeah.
Why aren't there very many female pilots?
Oh, good one.
We actually have quite a few that come out here. So
yeah, that's true.
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
Well, that's because you live in California. It's like this magical land where there's flying all the time and, you know, pretty girls everywhere that happen to fly as well.
I mean, speed flying pilots at this park, we'll have 5 females to 2 guys on some days.
Wait, what? Say that again?
I'm not kidding. It's awesome. It's great.
I seriously did not know that.
Well, speed flying pilots down here in Southern California, there's just happens to be quite a few females nowadays.
Do they all consolidate in one spot?
There's only one spot.
It's got to be the case.
There's only one spot.
Well, in and I'm talking the whole United States. Like they aren't out in New York, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know. I feel like in the skydiving world, female canopy pilots or lack thereof, it's a problem for sure. There could be more.
I fly out of a drop zone, and there's actually quite a few female skydivers there. So that is popular up here for sure. A lot of them.
That's cool. Yeah, their piloting skills though, do they get made fun of a lot? Because ours do down here.
Not really. Like I'd say it's like tonight it was all females jumping. There was probably 6 or 7 skydivers out there, all female jumping. They were hooping and hollering, having a good old time. It was pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah, out here, I mean, we've got Paris, so we'll have bellyways and like big, large 220 person bellyways. And it's like most of those people aren't really focused on the canopy flight. They're just focused on belly jumping and getting that formation down. And so they're all landing on their butts and things like that. So I see that a pretty common trend with skydivers, especially the females, though. I think out of laziness more than anything. It's a means to an end. It's not really like part 2.
You have some really cool pictures, by the way, on your Facebook. If you guys want to follow her on Facebook, check the link in the description. Jessica has some cool formation skydiving pics on there, and like her Alps flying. And I was going through those and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so many good pictures, because I take 9 pictures for the paraglidingtalk.com website thumbnail thing. And I kept scrolling and I'm like, oh my gosh, super jealous. Yeah, I'll get there. I went a different route. You got an RV and I have 5 kids.
Yeah. That's true.
We have to wait for them to move out.
5 kids.
Yeah.
My man
Bless the
can't
Lord
pull out
on
of a driveway.
Nope.
We got a regular fire team.
Matt, I hate you. So let's talk so someone can get a hold of you through we talked about that. They can reach out through your Facebook.
Yep.
I think we asked this question already, but let me just ask it again. What advice do you give to somebody wanting to get into the sport? Paragliding or speed flying. So that's a dual purpose question.
Yeah. A lot of people, I think when they're getting into the sport, I like when they have an open mind and are almost ignorant, because then they're a blank slate and you can't fill a cup that's already full. And if you think you've watched 40 hours of YouTube and think that applies to 40 hours of ground school, like, it's tough. So I think when people start out, it's almost like, just relax and enjoy the progression. It's going to take time and it's going to take a lot of energy, and you're going to have bad days and you're going to have awesome days, but just enjoy the ride and take it easy. Especially when it comes to speed flying, proximity flying and things like that. It looks cool. We're not posting our progression. I'm not posting video from 4 years ago when I was flying, 400 feet away from the terrain and thinking I'm, flying low. No, that stuff you never get to see. It's only the end results, but a lot of work goes into that. So.
Oh, Jessica Frump on Instagram as well.
Yeah, Jessica.Frump.
Jessica.Frump on Instagram. Yeah, that's in the comments. That is so awesome, man. Go to paraglidingtalk.com. Check out what's happening with the show. Also, want to encourage you, go to the Patreon, support the show financially for the price of a cup of coffee. You might learn something from this show that can save your life. And you might be helping somebody else to learn. This show being around and having our guests. We've had some amazing guests on the show. Jessica's one of them. And just to give you a heads up, Jessica, I'm going to put you in the moderator group, so that if you're ever watching the show and you want to jump on and join us live like you are right now, just
right
like
on.
Woody and some of these other guys, you passed the test, you've been on the show, and we just want to have a place where everybody can come and talk paragliding. That's why we set it up. I thought it would be unique if we had something like this. When I first started flying, it was kind of like I would search far and wide to find anything I could to learn. And I thought it'd be cool if we had a live spot where you can ask questions live. And then also, if you didn't catch the show and you're watching this show after the fact, feel free to ask questions in the comments, and I will forward those questions on if I can't answer them. And other than that, I respond to every comment at this point. I'm no Tucker Gott, so I got time.
I'm gonna put a plug in for the Facebook group too.
Yes,
If you search the Paragliding Talk Show, you'll find it on Facebook. Everybody that's on the group, if you haven't joined yet, feel free to post pictures, video, go live if you're out flying. You got the Facebook Live. Feel free to have at it.
Yeah, thanks for making that too, by the way. Neil put that together. I'm not
You
very
already thanked me
Facebook.
for it, man.
I'm not savvy with the Facebook. I don't use it very much.
I
don't
got you,
know
bro.
how. Yeah, thank you. Maybe I'll have to Google it or find a teenager. Like, hey, come here, kid.
Show me the Facebook.
Teach me this Facebook thing.
And a face.
So sad.
Yeah, you're an old man.
Not as old as Woody.
No,
No.
that's true.
Yeah, I win.
You win.
Hey, the objective is to grow old, right? I'm just better at it than you guys.
Are you gonna grow your beard out?
No, I'm just being lazy. I might.
Yeah, I was-
I
was thinking you're doing the Civil War thing, and that's what it almost looks like.
It just happened. My wife hates it, so it's got to go.
Or Hulk Hogan.
What is it gonna take to get Mark Honeycutt on the show? I feel like
Do you
he's
want Mark
avoiding me now.
Honeycutt on the show? Actually, I mean, have you thought it through?
Should I not have him on the show?
I'm just teasing. I made fun of Mark. Mark is awesome. He is quiet
Mark.
though, so you probably want, more than one.
Have-
guest.
Yeah, you'll definitely have to be there. We'll have to coordinate that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard for me because I've got the show on the same night usually.
Yeah, I know. You need to cancel that crap.
Yeah, wasting my time.
Nobody watches that anyways.
No, buddy.
That's awful.
Jessica, you are awesome, man. How's your battery life?
Let's see. Hang on.
So
I'm at
just to give you,
33% now.
are you serious? 33? That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna keep rolling. The show normally cuts off at 7:00. We're gonna keep
Alright.
rolling. I do want to say this. Jessica is sacrificing big time right now because she's in the RV and the AC doesn't work yet.
It's
Okay, she
cooking.
just got a swamp cooler, right?
I got a swamp cooler today, but the inverter is not working right now, so I'm sweating bullets.
Baking in there.
And not only that, but the battery on her phone's about to die, or the iPad, and she doesn't have a power source there
Yeah.
because the inverter is down.
Jessica, is that what you're using? You just have an iPad and you're using that for the show?
Yeah.
Yeah, your audio is better than half the guests on the show.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, Apple's not perfect, but they do use higher quality components. Usually their cameras and mics are better than average.
Do you guys watch Cloudbase or listen to Cloudbase Mayhem?
Mostly.
Oh, yeah.
Nick Hawks, he'll pop in the show every once in a while. He was recently on there with Gavin. If you guys get a chance, go check out that show. That was a really good one. He was talking about intermediate syndrome. And I think that's a great topic for another show. And I want to maybe we'll reach out to him and then talk about that a little bit. Because that is like a anyways, go check that out. What was I going to say? There was something else. Cloud-based mayhem, Nick Hawks.
Intermediate syndrome. Were you going to expand on that?
Not really. No.
That
but it is-
episode with Gavin is excellent.
Yeah,
It was really good.
I'm probably
incredible.
that.
Yes, you definitely have it, Matt, if you're wondering.
I struggle with it. Yeah, I feel like I've gone through it a couple of times. Where, have you heard of the Dunning-Kruger Curve? Are you familiar with this?
No, what is it?
So it is this like competency curve, and at first your confidence spikes up, even though your knowledge and wisdom hasn't, and you think that you're king of the sky, and then something goes wrong, it crashes down, and then you head back up on the slope of enlightenment. Right? That's the idea. You think you're hot stuff, you realize you're not, and then you slowly become it. That's the idea. The reality is, for me anyway, you take that ride several times. You think you're hot stuff and you actually become it. And then maybe your confidence gets past your abilities and you just loop around that. I'm coming on 300 hours as a pilot now. And I've taken this ride a couple of times where, I'm starting to think like, yeah, I got this, all right, this might not be an ideal situation, but I'm Woody, for Christ's sakes, I can handle this. Not always, right? And then you bend metal and you take that loop and you go over again. that intermediate syndrome, like it strikes you more than once. And that's what I'm coming to realize.
Yeah, let's see if we can get Gavin to come back on for that one. I think that'd be a good show. I bet you he'll do it.
Yeah, that would be good to have him on there.
Yeah, he's such an awesome guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the shows he was asking, and Jessica, you may be able to. Do you have any connection with Gavin McClurg?
Not directly.
I may drop your information to him because he was interested in doing a show on speed flying, and because of your background and the fact that you speed fly and you're an instructor, I think you would be a good fit, and I'll mention that to him.
That would be great.
Cloud-based mayhem for me was like the inspiration kind of for this show. So
yeah,
maybe
awesome.
we can. Yeah. Any questions from the chat that we want to give to Jessica? Ripman, Jessica said, how do you handle motor pilots wanting to free fly, and what's the progression?
Start on the ground. We start on the kiting hill, and then we work our way up. We have a progression on this very nice steep slope that starts shallow and from 25, 50 feet, 75-foot launches. And until you get those forward launches down and you have kiting down very well, then we'll be able to progress to the higher launches. But same as anybody else. And same with the skydiver. When they transfer over, everyone starts in the same place.
Oh, that's good. With the what if the guys come, they've got, like, for example, Woody has 300 hours. He's wanting to transition. I watched a couple videos of him free flying. I mean, you're obviously not going to beat a dead horse if he already knows how to kite. Can he progress? Obviously, can he move up faster?
Yeah. If he can show me those kiting skills, and I'm impressed.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it looks good, then you're good.
And then you would move them quickly to flying and get them on radio.
Yeah, as long as you can demonstrate the same, the same thing that I'm asking for from anybody else. I don't care how much time you have under canopy. If it's even a skydiver who has thousands of skydives, that canopy time is a little bit different than what we're doing here. And it's, you're comparing two things that are similar and they're used in a similar way, but with a motor, you have a bailout most of the time where you can just power out and get out of a situation. And with free flight, a lot of times you don't. So it's a different mentality, and you break that into someone from the very get-go, it is different. So you got to treat it with respect.
Very good. Woody, you had a motor out the other day.
Yeah, I've had a couple. Whatevs. My standard, here's what I do when I fly, like a normal Woody flight. It's usually over an hour long. I sit around there holding more than cruise throttle. Once I realize I have a lot of altitude, I acro down. I just do that again and again all night long. And so when I have a motor out, usually I've got plenty of height. I do all my acro high. I'm not trying to impress anybody. There's nobody watching. So I'm usually I'm in a good spot to just, pick a spot to land and walk it in. So last motor out I had, we modified my electrical harness so that I could power my strobe. And that just vibrated too many times. And I turned my motor off so I could do a sat. I like to have the motor off when I sat. And when I went to turn it back on, it wasn't there for me. And landed, called my wife. All was good.
Why do you do that, by the way?
Why do I sat?
No, why do you turn it off?
Oh, well, it doesn't have a clutch. And I guess the fear is I've only done maybe 50 sats on 4 or 5 different wings. So I'm not like a sat expert or anything. And the fear is that I'll hit the throttle. And now, so you're spinning backwards and the wing is spinning forwards. If I hit the throttle while I'm supposed to be going backwards, what exactly happens? I just reduce the risk by turning it off.
We need to make that video.
Oh, you just experiment with that?
I'm just kidding.
I'll need a lake and a boat. Let's check that out.
I'm just kidding. Not a good idea.
Yeah, some guys with a clutch will leave the motor on. I have e-start, which typically means it's just really easy to fire back up again. And but except for that one time,
That one time.
found a farm and put it down.
And then it rained.
A little bit, yeah. At the end, my wife was grocery shopping and she had things that needed to be refrigerated. So she like went home and then picked me up, and I'm out there and it started to rain a little bit, but it was all good. I just laid out the wing right back in the office here, and good times.
I'm just glad you recorded it because that was pretty funny.
Yeah, I had this idea that I was gonna tell a story, and I was doing a sat, but I was gonna make no mention of the fact that I was satting during the story, and it didn't really work out like I had expected.
Game over.
Yeah, I was like, oh no, this video's taking a turn.
Yep. So what do you think about paramotoring, Jessica?
I think it's awesome, but again, man, you got to treat it with respect. I mean, I've seen some accidents, of course. It's not fun when that happens, but the craziest one I've seen was with the motor, man. That prop is no joke.
It was a prop strike, right?
Lightly. What's that?
Was it a prop strike? Was that the accident?
It was a prop strike.
I knew
Yes,
it was gonna be. And the motor was not on his back, right?
It was not on his back. It started out on his back, and then he turned it off, took it off, fixed something, and then just had his hand up against it lightly, and then turned it on, revved it, and got his arm.
Oh, so I know Robert doesn't spend a lot of time on Facebook. On the Facebook, there's a paramotor group, and these gruesome sets of photos surface every time there's an accident, and prop strikes are just awful to look at. The damage that they do, and I sit there and wonder, like, are those fingers ever going to be the same? I know modern medicine's impressive, but did you want to say something?
I took a first aid course like 1 week before that happened, and so I had just taken the class, and I was like, all right, you're gonna have a cool story and a scar later. Let's get you to the hospital. And he's like screaming. I'm like, it's gonna be all right, man. I promise. And like, it was nuts.
Dang it.
That course, like I wouldn't have known like how to act and how quickly it needed to be, dealt with.
It's one of the reasons I push eStart, and I'll use this platform. All 37 people watching this will hear it. But
easy.
You know what? It stays up there though. It could be thousands by with eStart. The temptation to start it on the ground like that isn't really there. It's people are starting it on the ground usually because the motor's not quite acting right.
Yeah.
They want to get the leverage of a proper pull, and it's hard to do over your shoulder.
Awkward,
yeah. But with eStart, you just press the button. It starts just as well on your back as it does on the ground. And people aren't getting those same kinds of injuries, at least as often with eStart, because they just pop the button. On your back or in a rack. Those are the rules. Yeah,
that is such a great. That needs to be in every show because of. I mean, I think it was Kyle had a full throttle incident.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on the ground and you go full throttle, I just for the first time was next to a paramotor. I didn't realize how big they are.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine. That's like a blender, man.
Yeah.
So everyone kind of expects the motor to come at you, which it does, right? But the other thing is it comes at you kind of twisting. So, if you think that you're properly braced, and you can hold that thing, you might not realize that it's going to do this to you and come at you. You're very unlikely to be able to hold it like you think you can.
Yeah, they're a beast. Let's say, something to consider as well for everybody. Like Jessica said, just took that class, and lo and behold, a week later, you ended up having to use what you learned. Like that's a good thing for everybody to take the time and learn all that stuff. I got one of those military IFACs that I keep in my harness just in case. But first aid stuff and learning how to actually use all that first aid stuff is very important. It could save somebody's life someday.
And knowing when not to do something, when, don't roll them on their side and things like that, just because they're asking. You learn so much in those courses. It's really important, not just for you, but for your friends.
Yeah. Where did you take that course?
I used to live in Los Angeles, so it was in Chatsworth.
Was it Red Cross?
No, I can't remember.
I took a Red Cross course after I broke my leg last year. Gabe, my SIV instructor, he was certified. He knew what he was doing. He had a first aid kit. He stabilized my leg, and we got me to the hospital. And I was like, I want to be that guy. So I took a first aid course from the Red Cross, and CPR and all that fun stuff, and stocked up a kit. And now I keep it with me.
Nice.
One thing I learned about medicine in the military too was things change constantly, so it's good to keep up to date on all that stuff. Take a course every year or something like that, because things do change.
Mm-hmm.
Technology changes. Yeah.
Technology, techniques, all the things that, like, modern medicine is constantly learning all these different techniques, and that, like, it was always, you had to stabilize the person. You wouldn't move for anything if there's any sort of accident or whatever. And now, like, there's a couple of, I don't know, it's probably changed back to stabilizing no matter what, but there's certain instances where stabilizing that person might not be the best option. It all depends on the situation, but things always change, so it's good to stay up to date on it.
We Nick Hawks was Navy SEAL, and so recently he reached out to some of his Navy SEAL people, some of his guys that are still in the military, and he's working on right now as we speak getting one of the guys to bring a helicopter in. We're going to do some flying at horse, and then they're going to fly a helicopter in, and then we're going to talk about putting people together and some of the things that have to happen when you're out in the mountains, because we do all of our free flight in places where it's going to be air evac out. And there's a bunch of stuff that you don't really think about when it comes to air evac. Like, they're not going to come in if you're still in the air in a lot of cases. Wind direction, they're going to be interested in the wind direction. And so if you've got pilots on the ground next to where, homie is laying there hurt, maybe using this, having a smoke, like one of those smoke flares, or setting up a windsock, things like that. But anyways, we had a meeting with the guys that were in charge of some emergency procedure stuff, and they gave us a whole bunch of like, I have a first aid kit now that I keep in my gear. And so anyways, that may be a show coming soon. At least it'll be a video.
Be a good topic for Mark too. He's a medevac pilot, helicopter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's
I
what
knew he
he
was
was
a
in the
pilot.
Army. Yeah.
That's why he couldn't be on the show this week. I think he's doing maneuvers or something. Maybe next week, or maybe it was next Thursday.
I don't think so. I think he's spending time with his girlfriend. I don't know what story he told you, but I talked to him this morning. I'm pretty sure it's Elena time.
Mark, you are filled with lies. I messaged him and I was like, I'm starting to get the feeling that you hate me. And he goes, I do.
Yeah.
And then I said, you have no soul.
He doesn't.
He doesn't. He's cold. Yeah. Well, I don't want to drag this out. I really appreciate Jessica. Thank you so much for coming on. It is such, it's so rad to have, and I don't want to sound like weird and feminist or whatever, but to have a female in the sport with such a good attitude and such a good head on your shoulders, I think it's priceless. So we have something great. If you want to get some training, you want to get some free flight training, you want to learn at the coolest site in Southern California, reach out to Jessica. And it's not just Jessica, but there's a team there that will take care of your needs. And like I said in the beginning of the show, when I went to Soboba, when I left, I felt like I was family. It was rad, beginning to end, super cool experience. Bring some money. You don't have to hike. You can give the guys some money and they'll drive you up to launch. And they've got a pretty new ride that what is it, the Polaris or whatever, the
Kubota.
The Kubota. So nice.
You have a UTV? Is that what it is? A Kubota UTV?
Yep.
Yeah.
They got the rack on the roof. Throw all your gear up there. They got some chairs in the back. It's pretty cool. I remember when I was first watching the videos, they were using just the ATCs and the quads. And,
yeah, those were wild, man.
It looked pretty sketch. Oh wait,
Like one rule growing up was one person per quad, maybe two, but we were packing on like 4 or 5. So
Yeah.
we can't get the quotas.
yeah.
When I learned to fly and I took all my training, I was 20 pounds heavier then than I am now. And my instructor actually bought a golf cart for my fat ass to help me get out to the right spots on the field.
Nice.
It's true.
Well, good, man. You burned up 20 pounds. I'm proud of you, man. That's awesome. I'm trying to gain 20 pounds because I want to be American.
Ah. Well, I like full-sized American.
Full-size
Dude,
American.
cheeseburger diet, man.
Yeah.
Good. Golden.
I was going to mention something else about Soboba. If you go there, you can get the rides, all those things. But also when there's dead time, there's some fun things you can do in the landing zone. And like I mentioned earlier, they got a pool now. It's hot out there today. It's like 100 degrees right now. I'm sure that there's somebody in the pool. Jessica's probably going to go dive in it right after this.
Yeah, definitely.
And then what else? I was going to say something else too about Soboba because it's so awesome. The landing zone's cool. Oh, camping. Is it true you can camp there? Do you guys have some kind of...
Yeah, we've got camping spots. You can bring out an RV. We don't have any hookups. You can, or trailer. A lot of people car camp out here. A lot of speed flyers are dirt bags, so we just sleep in whatever. And then we also have now full-on showers. So hot water on demand. Not that you need it, but a nice cold shower before you get in the pool is nice too.
What? Where's that at?
In the container right near. So there's the gear equipment container, and then we have another container that has right near the blue rooms.
That is so rad. I didn't know that. So do you have to pay to camp?
Yeah, I think it's $8 a night. I should know that.
$8.
Yeah.
That's cheap, man. You can't find any better.
And there's full kitchen, barbecue, whatever you need is within a 2-mile drive. So it's nice.
Right on, man. I love it. So that's it. Unless anybody has any other questions you want to ask or anything that you want to add to the show, we're going to call this a wrap.
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Jessica, you rock. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's do it again soon sometime, and then maybe we'll check in on your progression with acro and do another show.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks again. Woody, thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
Neil, everybody who is in the chat, Max, all you guys that watch the show, you make the show. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being faithful from the beginning. This is episode 28? Crazy. It seems like it flew by in a blip. So appreciate you guys. Yeah, it's happening, man. And so really appreciate you guys. And we'll see you next week. I don't know who's coming on next week, but I'll let you know. Check paraglidingtalk.com for what's happening. We're going to have a quick after show. And thanks again for everybody being on the show. Have a great night.